Now let's meet our next contestant, please, if you'll come in. Now, let's sit right down and get acquainted with the members of our panel and the members of our audience at home. We will ask you folks to identify yourself by name and hometown. And we'll start with this young lady right here, please.
I'm Maurille Hilliard from Quinton, Georgia.
Mrs. Hilliard, and she is from Georgia. The gentleman behind me?
Erwin Erkfitz from Detroit.
Mr. Erkfitz, and he is from Detroit. And your name?
Diane Strubel from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Miss Strubel from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Now, panel, I would like to tell you that each of these contestants has a secret for you to guess. In all three cases, their secrets represent an achievement based on a particular type of exercise or training program which they follow to keep fit. And now that I've given you all that information, you have one question apiece for each of the secrets. In other words, we'll eat one question each 3 times around, all right? Let us start with the secret of Mr. Erkfitz. Sir, if you'll whisper your secret to me. All right, this concerns something that Mr. Erkfitz did, and Bill Cullen, one question for each of the panelists. We'll start with you.
Mr. Erkfitz, did it have something to do with what you ate?
What you ate? Mm-hmm. The secret, as expressed, does not mention what he ate. All right, that's Bill's question. Now let's get to Betsy.
Did it have anything to do, sir, with something that you did manually?
Manually?
Arms.
We'd have to say partially then, huh?
Partially.
But only slightly partially.
Manually means hands.
Yes, well, but all parts of your bodies were involved, weren't they? All parts of your body?
Yes, all parts.
Got a lot for you there.
So manually meaning hands, we now go to Henry.
Henry's not physically fit.
He isn't going to survive the show.
I'm not a good example of anything. Did you employ some device?
No, sir.
No device. All right, and so we go to Bess.
Did you cover a great deal of territory doing this?
Yes, ma'am.
Aye, that he did. We've lost the $80. Mr. Erkfitz keeps himself physically fit by walking. As a matter of fact, his secret is that he walked across the United States last year in record time, about 3,000 miles in 67 days of walking. Now, mathematics being rather poor, Mr. Erkfitz, how many miles does that average out a day?
Averages about 45 miles a day, Gary.
45 miles of walking a day, and I won't walk 3 blocks in Manhattan without getting a cab. Did you take the northern route, southern route?
The southern route, 66.
So you ducked them out?
Yes, but I got more desert at first.
It's a whale of a beach, isn't it?
Yeah, great.
All right, thank you, Mr. Erkfitz, very much. Now let's turn our attention to Miss Strubel here, who's on my right. Miss Strubel, let's find out about your accomplishment. If you whisper it to me, please. All right, the clue concerns something Miss Strubel did. It, again, is of a physical fitness nature, and so, Bill, we'll start with you, one question each.
Well, I'll do the same thing I did last time. It should work 1 and 3. Does it have, Miss Strubel, anything to do with something you ate? In any broad sense of the term?
No.
Well, let's say, Bill, obviously she had to train for this, and therefore diet is important. But, again, the diet is not stressed in the secret itself. So we go to Betsy.
I think I have to disqualify myself because have I ever met you before on a television show? Because I think I have. I must disqualify myself, and I know what it is.
Oh, did you meet on Dave's
On
show?
an early morning show, I think, didn't we?
Thank you, dear girl,
yes,
for your
I do
honesty. Let's go to,
disqualify
not that it surprises
Long
me, let's
time
go to
ago.
Henry
Hi.
Morgan.
You swam something.
Yes. Yeah, that haircut.
That's, am I allowed another hat?
No.
No, I was interested in what you were going to say. I forgot the rules myself. Let's go to Beth.
All right. Did you swim across a body of water in the United States?
Cross.
It was a body of water in the United States, but she did it the hard way, lengthways, not across. Isn't that an accurate description, wouldn't you say?
Well, that's pretty close, Gary.
Pamela Strubel prefers swimming as a way of keeping fit, and just to prove her point, this year she swam around the island of Manhattan in record time, 35 miles in 11 hours. Were you just exhausted when this was over?
No, Gary, I wasn't. That particular swim, the problems were the tides and the timing of it. Figuring it out so as to be at the right place at the right time and so on and so forth.
As a matter of fact, I read the newspapers rather carefully that day, and I remember that she protested against being lifted out of the water. She wanted to have another go around, another complete round the island, isn't that true?
That's right, yes.
Well, now, what is the longest swim that you have made?
The longest one was the length of Lake George last August. That was last year. And that was 42 miles, and it took me 35 and a half hours, 2 days and a night.
Fresh water, my friends, no salt buoyancy, which makes it many, many times as difficult. Now, let's turn to Mrs. Hilliard on my left. Mrs. Hilliard, if you will tell me of your feat of physical prowess, we'll pass it along to the audience. Panel, the clue concerns something Mrs. Hilliard did, and again, one question. Bill, we'll start with you.
I can't help thinking there's a gag here somewhere. Mrs. Hilliard, the thing you did, does it have nothing to do with athletics in the accepted sense of the word?
No.
You're right, Bill. So we go to Betsy.
Nothing to do with that.
Not the usually accepted sense of athletics.
Does it have to do with homemaking?
No.
Henry?
To have to do with endurance.
Well, yes, it does.
And so we go to Bess.
It had to do with endurance. Did this change your appearance?
No, it didn't.
Well, now, long-distance walking and long-distance swimming may seem a little overwhelming to you, but I think Mrs. Hilliard has a secret that is more down our collective alley. Her secret is that she sat in a rocking chair, and she rocked. And she rocked, and she rocked, and she rocked for 70 hours without stopping, which must be a record. How did you stay awake, Mrs. Hilliard?
Mostly by talking.
You just talked yourself awake.
Well,
huh?
mostly, yes.
Well, we're delighted to have all three of you champions in your chosen field here tonight. Your Winstons and your money will be waiting for you off stage, and above all, you receive our thanks. Mrs. Hilliard, thank you so much. Good luck.